It's your boy, You Go Boy. That's Mongo, all right? This is the You Go Boy podcast channel. But before we start, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We got unfiltered, authentic conversations. We got sports talk. We got drops. Oh, yeah. So, Mongo, what should they do?
Like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Yahtzee. Where were you when you found out that Luka Dončić and Anthony Davis were involved in the biggest trade, obviously, in modern basketball history?
So I'm sitting there minding my own business, saying to myself, man, I really hope Danny Ainge can do something to take my mind off that mediocre at best Royal Rumble we had just watched. And sure enough, as if wished for, it came through. Now I was with my wrestling buddies. We had just literally it was Saturday night. Rumble had just ended maybe about a half hour earlier, and there was, like everybody else, the first feeling was this isn't real. And then obviously you start checking your sources and, everything came through. The word that has been being thrown around a lot is shocking. And I think that's really the best way to describe it. Debating where this falls on the all-time trades list is tough because in the first 50, 55 years of the NBA's, 75, 80-year history, you had lifelong contracts. Guys got drafted and stayed there for the most part. Some exceptions, but the list is way longer of guys who played for a single team in the first 50 years than the last 30 years. And so it's hard to actually put it on a scale. But in terms of weight, where did this come from? In terms of shocking moments in sports history, not even basketball history, this is really high up there. I mean, this came in the night. It came in on a weekend. Bonus points to the NBA for absolutely stealing wrestling's thunder on this one.
Thanks.
And of course, who else but Danny Ainge, right? We need to get, a shady back alley deal done. Let's call Danny Ainge to be the third party. Of course, he's going to be the one to put the final, ingredients in this. So really, really wild moment.
Yeah, I was coming from a Wizard game. We're obviously we're still on tour right now, and we're driving back somewhere in Poughkeepsie, New York, or the area, and I'm on my phone, and I see on Twitter, and I see the tweet by Shamgod saying that the trade is finalized. Luka Dončić to the Lakers, Anthony Davis to the Mavs. And then across the Sprinter van, it spread like wildfire. A bunch of the guys didn't believe it. They thought it was cap. They thought it was like complete fabrication. And meanwhile, I'm like holding it up. I'm like, guys, unless their Twitter account got hacked, which I find very hard to believe in 2025, this is happening. This is real. And it was confirmed over the next few minutes or what so. It spread like wildfire across all the social media platforms that this happened. And, this is the equivalent to Larry Bird getting traded in his prime, to Michael Jordan getting traded in his prime, to LeBron James getting traded in his prime. I mean, you Magic Johnson getting traded in his prime. You could just keep going down the list of greats of, again, Luka Dončić is 25. His best basketball is ahead of him. And, the way I kind of look at this is obviously he was in line to sign the Supermax deal, which would have paid him over $300 million with the extension. So you're talking $69 million a year. That's lock, stock, and barrel. Like there's a salary cap in basketball, but it's fluid,
A nice way to put it.
Yeah. So, for the Mavs to move on from him, and again, from all the reports, shout out to Sham on Twitter, the Mavs initiated this. The Mavs came to the Lakers with this. They're like, listen, we want to move Luka. What's up? And the Lakers were just taken back. They're just like, what? Okay, give us a second. Give us a business day or 3 business hours. And they were just like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. So it's like, for the Mavs, my next question, Mongo, is for the Mavs to move on from Luka at 25. Why? Why did they move on from it? Is it the injury history? Is it the conditioning? Is it the weight? It was reported that he was around 270. Talk about eating yourself out of the league like a la Eddie Lacy or Zion Williamson, who's trying to eat himself out of the league. Like, why would the Mavericks move off of a generation? There goes that word, generational. Why would they move off of a generational talent at the age of 25 this early in his career? A multiple first-team NBA player and a future Hall of Famer.
This is tough, and I'm going to kind of work backwards to your question in that, excuse me, the one take I don't like that I'm seeing out there is Lakers A plus, Mavericks F. There is value here for the Mavericks, which we'll talk about in a minute. But to answer the question, this is a tough question to answer because the best way I can answer it is you got to think from the Mavericks perspective, which makes it a fairly tough question to answer because I'm completely trying to put myself in someone else's shoes here. But if you're the Mavs, a couple things to consider. The first is you had Dirk Nowitzki was the face of your franchise. He is there. The Mount Rushmore of Dallas is one guy. There is no second discussion there. And so to go from Dirk to Luka, you have stayed on the international train now for, close to, a little over 25 years. There was going to be a direct comparison. And by all accounts, Dirk was, always the face that ran the place. He was always corporate gold. And so for Luka to not have that same mentality that Dirk had, if you're inside Dallas, you're very unfairly, but you're comparing him to Dirk every step of the way, not just in terms of how many games has he won, how many All-Star appearances, how many MVP votes, but also who he is as a person and who he is, kind of be Americanizing himself the way Dirk had to. So I do think any of those little things that he was unhappy about, some of the guys who'd been fired earlier in the year, the weight, things of that nature, that gets blown out of proportion. Again, I think unfairly, but if you're in Dallas and you've been there a long time, you're comparing him to the, basically Saint Dirk. And so you're going to take everything with larger grains of salt. The other thing to factor in from Dallas's perspective is that we have watched this team get close but not quite for even, most of the last 10 years, basically since their championship with Dirk, having these very guard-heavy teams where you'd see things like Jason Terry playing the three. We right now have Clay playing the three a lot. And so for Dallas, you're looking at an opportunity here to finally have a true up and down strong starting five where AD comes in and, with Gafford right now, when Lively comes back, Lively, AD, whether it be PJ Washington on bigger lineups or Clay, Dinwiddie, Irving, it could be Max Christie in there in the two. You suddenly have a much deeper, much truer team. And we saw what happened last year when they went out and got Gafford in Washington and started this approach of let's become a complete team. They got to the finals. So they clearly think they've found some sort of, recipe that works. And so I think the combination of the unfair comparisons to Dirk and the, organizational strategy to try and become a more complete team helped lead to this trade. And that's specifically why they went after AD instead of, more picks or even a better player. They wanted someone who completed the team better.